Hello guys, so today we're going to be building one of my phased vertical kits, so the switching parts, so the relay box and the control. So what I've done is I've actually kitted everything out here already, and it just makes it much easier. So this is an aluminium enclosure I got from AliExpress. It's a generic, I think it's a 1591. All details of this are actually in my GitHub, so I'll put a link to that down in the description. So I've actually got this all kitted out already, so I'm just actually going to lay everything out here. It's not a difficult build to do. Here is the board. Okay, so I've got my little holder here, and I'm actually just going to solder on that side, something like that. So I'll try and get this so you can actually catch it. But what I'm going to do here is actually just going to lay out my parts. There we go. So a couple of diodes, one N4001s or one N4007s. A couple of resistors, so these are 27k resistors, quarter watts. A couple of blue LEDs, these could be any colour, and a couple of 0.1 microfarad capacitors. So there we go. So not a lot of parts to this. Solder on here first. I think we do the easy stuff. I think we'll put the resistors in and the diodes in. So we'll just fold these over like so. Okay, so now we can actually just start soldering. So we've got this is actually lead-free solder. I'm just going to use a little bit of extra flux. I find that does help, where I just dip the solder in before we tin our soldering iron. See, yep. Oh, before we do that, I want to turn on our extractor fan. Apologies if that's quite loud, but I do need it. Take the fumes away. Right, now, here we go. Okay, now we'll flip that over. Yep. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to snip. So there we go, there's some of our components on. Now what we'll do is we can take our LEDs. Now remember, one leg's longer than the other. Just pop that in. The longer leg is the positive. Right, check the other side, make sure we've got a good enough flow. That's fine. Now, what we're going to put in next, let's put our little capacitors in here. Our decoupling capacitors. Oh, nearly lost that. I've got these separate in the garage here. 100 picofarad capacitors. Go. To a flux. Check the side. Yep, that looks fine. Now we need 200 picofarad capacitors, which I have in here because I use them for my 9-fed half wave. Right, let's take our 100 picofarad capacitors and then let's see, what's that like? Right. Straighten those up a wee bit, but that looks very nice. Now what we're going to put on next are our RJ45 socket. These could be a little bit of a pain, just to squeeze them through with a clamp. There we go. Now what I like to do with these is I like to use a little bit of tape on them. Like so, like that, there we go. So we could take that off now. There we go. It's pretty good. So now we just need to get our relays on here. So I could take this off now. Flux. And lots of heat. Remember, these are your RF connection pads. One relay in place. Now we need to get the second one in. Okay. So that's our board completed, believe it or not. Or completed for now, before we solder in the RF connections, but it needs to be in the box to do that. Just like that. You can see it's quite gunky on there. So what we'll do is we'll flip it over. Or as you guys in the States call them, Q-tips. Sooner you get this stuff off, the better. Then we'll put a nice clean PCB. So you can see that. That's pretty clean, that board. So inside this box, this is the control. So this is our board here, our control board. Now again, we'll want to solder all the easy stuff first, all the small components. So let's just take our diodes here. Just going to fold these, fold the wires. Again, watch your polarity. So, bend that in place. You know what, we'll just solder those in first. Yeah, I could feel that those were decent joints. And our resistors, which we've got 3 of, because we've got 3 LEDs. One for power, one for broadside, and one for end fire. Right, where are we putting these again? Let's see. There's one there. Let's check those. Okay, what we're going to do next. Capacitors, decoupling capacitor again. Yep. Okay, what next? This is interesting. This is a PTC resetable fuse. And AKB7ZUT suggested this, so you don't need to worry about replacing your fuse if it goes. Once you sort out the, if you did wire it the wrong polarity, it just automatically resets. It's a great idea. So I'm going to use these in future projects, probably maybe slightly more expensive than say a standard fuse, but I think if you're in the field, you just don't need to worry about carrying a spare fuse with you. Now what are we going to solder on next? Now this is the switch. I like using this switch because it's PCB mounted, and it just saves drilling, saves faffing about with wires and drilling it to the board. So let's see what that looks like. That's decent. Let's solder this now. Right, just make sure the solder's flowed through. That's lovely. That's good. And now, oh, our power switch, our DC. Okay. That's our power socket now. We just need to get our other RG45. Go up. Let's have a look at that. Perfect. And that's our control board actually. Almost done. We've got LEDs to put in it, but I almost don't want to put them in it yet. I want to actually get the box drilled. There's our board, little fluff on it, but pretty good. No, that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. There's our 2 boards. Now we need to get looking at the mounting. Now when we actually look at the lid, we need to, I actually made a template up basically for fitting this. It makes things a lot easier because you need to be quite accurate. So here's a template board. You can see the holes are they're just smaller in it in compared to the ones on the actual board. So what I just do is I actually just lay the board out like so. and just get it roughly in the middle. Doesn't need to be perfect, but as long as it looks right, it'll be right. Okay, so I hold it down and I get my pencil. Right, take that off and you hopefully should see we've got little pencil marks there. Now this is critical how accurate you get these, okay? Like that. Now we've actually got all our positions marked. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Phew. So now we need to pilot drill these. There's a hole there I don't like. It looks to be a little bit off. We'll see. We will see. Because this back end here is what we need to fit. I'm just doing this for the benefit so you can see it on camera. Probably wouldn't do this here, but just so you can get a shot. No, we're not there yet. Like that, and I should be doing it on somewhere more stable. So this should actually fit. Like so. I can't show you this, guys, but I'm just basically deburring. So I'm going to give this a little clean actually, get that oil off it. Now, so you like these fit in here like that, like so. Which is here. This is an old revision board that I'm using as a test board, which is actually a tighter tolerance. So if it fits on here, it'll fit on the other one, which is a little bit tight. If I take out this one, let's see if it goes in those four. Yep, there we go. Right, I think we can just about get away with that. I wanted to drill out these 4 holes in the corners, the sort of M4s. So we need to see if we can get the nuts and bolts on this now to fit. I'm just building up the height here for the PCB so it sits on it okay. I just want to tighten these up a little bit again. And 4. And our board just sits on there nicely. There we go. I've actually checked these SO239s. Oh, they're good. Not too tight, but this connects it all through here and into the box. Alright. Perfect, there we go. We're not bottoming out or anything. That's our box. Now we still have to cut a hole for the RJ45, but that's easy peasy. Now, this is the scary bit coming up. This is the worst bit, in my opinion, to do. Because what we're going to do is we're actually going to solder these SO239 connections on there. Okay. So before we do this, we need lots of flux. I'd rather have that than the poor solder connections. I'm actually going to use this lead. This is Weller leaded solder. So I'll try and get this into frame for you. Into here. And the next one. Like that. Now try and look underneath to see what the pools of solder are like, to make sure we're not going to get any shorts or anything, and that looks wonderful. Now you can see how much flux there is there, but that's okay. We can get that cleaned off. And if we look at that, we've got some really nice solder joints there, really nice flow. That's what we're looking for. Well guys, it's the next day and we want to make a bit more progress on this. This is where we left it. So now what I've done is I've actually put a centre mark here. Hopefully you can see that. So I want to drill a hole here. This is exactly 15mm down from the edge. You can see that I've just made a mark, measured down to the centre of the RG45. So we'll basically make a pilot hole and then we'll just file it to suit. Let's see what that's like. So if you put these two together, you can see that it's almost in the middle of it. That's pretty good. That's pretty good, you know. So we're not actually far away from that. I don't know if you could see in there, but that is actually pretty good. So what we can actually do is we can actually put a little mark on it. Just see where we want to go. There we go. So there's one part complete. Now we will test this in a bit, and I'm sure it's going to be absolutely perfect. What we'll do is we'll just put the screws in roughly just now. It's still loose. So there we go. There's one part done. We need to get now into this box of tricks. When this is the control for it. Now, this PCB has actually got the holes already, so they fit into this enclosure here. Hopefully the light can see that. So we need to actually have a good guess of where this actually needs to be. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use one that I prepared earlier and use that as my template. There we go. Okay. Just give it a little. What that does, it should just let the. There we go. Look at that. There's our. And these holes should line up. Something like that. And then what we can do is we can actually mark centre of the RJ45 like so. And mark the centre of the DC cable, remember, for the DC connection. And it doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to be able to go through the hole. Okay. There we go. There's our RG45. Like so. Like so. There we go. I can actually try a DC socket in this. Make sure there's clearance. That is a little bit tight. There we go. That's good enough. Now this would function fine at this. We don't need to do anything else. But we are going to put our LEDs into here, right? Because that makes it a lot. You want to see what's getting switched, and you want to know that you've actually got power. Okay, so that's our marks on there. So let's do the old centre punch trick. There you go. So that's just slightly tight. That's okay, because we're going to... There we go. So we've got our 3 holes now drilled. Perfect. Good, that's that on. Now, there we go. Give that a wee trim. Perfect. So now we've got 2 LEDs on there. Now we need to get our third one on. Now, hopefully that's going to be okay. I've got a bit of tidying up to do here, but hey ho. So now, I'm going to put these LED holders in, like so. But before I do anything, I think I want to get the mounting screws in here. That's kind of important, because once they're in, I can then put the LEDs in. Right, well I think I've actually missed some of that, but we've got our LEDs now fitted. We've got the plates screwed down, and you can see we've got the LEDs inside the holders there. But just to hold the LEDs in the holders, I'm just going to use some hot glue. There we go, you can see that's drying already. The glue in there. There's really not a lot else to do. I am going to test it, which I'll show you shortly. Some sticky feet, which I'll add later. And on the bottom, I'm actually just going to scribe that this is a version 2.1. That's just so I can match it up with the correct relay unit. And I think I actually have 2.1, Rev 2.1's built. You can actually just test that shortly. So we've got a really quick and simple setup here just to test. So I've got a power bank here with a 12 volt trigger cable. This goes into the controller, RJ45 cable into the relay box, the remote switch. So you can see we've got 3 lights here. So that's actually, so that's end fire. Sorry, that's end fire. That's switched in the direction of end fire, and that's broadside on the blue. Okay, so let's actually test this. So middle position. So nothing's actually powered in here. That's good, that's what we want to see. We just want to see 2 of these actually powered. So if we flitch it to end fire, the other side, it switches to these 2, nothing on that. But then if we change it to broadside, they should all have continuity. As simple as that, guys. That's our test setup done, and now we're actually able to put this in the field and use it. Bye for now.